Hi there, hope you're having a pleasant day wherever you may be. Right now, I'm overlooking Kanab. I'm at the top of the Bunting Trail in southern Utah. The Bunting Trail is located just a couple miles southwest of Kanab, Utah, which is found in the southern part of the state near the Arizona border. So what is the Bunting Trail? Well, it's basically just a trail that goes up a cliff face and gives you some pretty great views of the surrounding area, including Kanab. And looking in this direction, you'd see northern Arizona. Now, to achieve this view, it requires a little bit of effort. It's about 1.6 miles to the top here, and in that 1.6 miles is about 900 feet in elevation gain. So yeah, it's kind of a tough one. Sort of amplified by, right now it's the September heat. It was about 90 degrees when I started, so this probably wasn't the wisest day to do this. The trail starts out innocent enough with a sort of gentle incline as you leave the parking lot. And the early parts of it reminded me a lot of the Mansard Trail, which is not too far from here, just east of Kanab. I did a video on that not too long ago. If you'd like to check that out, go right ahead. But what do you say we get back to this one? About half a mile into the hike, you reach a fork, and there's a sign pointing to the left with some dinosaur footprints on it. Now that's a little spur trail that'll take you up a dry creek bed, which at times can be a little tricky because, dry creek beds, there's rocks and things you got to climb over. And just keep on walking up the creek bed. When you think you haven't gone far enough, just keep on going. Eventually, you'll see another wooden sign that points you in the right direction. And then eventually you'll question yourself again, and then you'll see some people left some stacks of rocks, so follow the stacks of rocks. And then eventually you'll hit the last one that points to the dinosaur tracks. Now there's not very many, there's only a couple that I can see on this boulder here. So they're not the most impressive dinosaur tracks that I've seen in this region, let alone ever. And it's still pretty cool though. I mean, it's nice. It's kind of level walking, like I said, except for the rocks. But it's a creek bed, so it's not very steep. Now there's no signage here to tell what kind of dinosaur it was, but kind of judging from the look and size and the region, makes me think Dilophosaurus, because that seems to be the common one in this region. So I could be wrong, probably wrong, but that's my guess. My amateur Alan Grant. Just after the turnoff for the dinosaur tracks, that's when the trail really starts to get serious and you really start to gain your elevation. And you start to climb up this cliff face, and you're kind of looking at it, you're like, where the hell am I going? But it continues to snake its way up. When you're nearly at the top of the trail, you come across some petroglyphs. Now they're really, really faint. I'm sure in the wrong time of day you probably can't see them at all, but right now I can barely see them. There's a handful here. There's a couple that I can kind of make out distinctly. This one looks like it's some sort of elk or something because it seems to have antlers. And then this one seems to be like a person or something. There's a couple other ones like plus signs and things like that. Those look like they might have been pecked in, which makes me think those are petroglyphs too. But then you got some over here that look like they were scratched in. I think that might be vandalism, but pretty cool. No informational kiosk here, so not really sure. I know nearby I went to the Mansard petroglyphs, so maybe they're made by the same people. I'm not sure. Shortly after the petroglyphs, you kind of keep climbing a little bit more, and you kind of reach the top of the cliff for the most part, where you can call yourself satisfied and just sit and enjoy the view and start making your way back down. The trail does continue up a little bit, and I went up further, but I didn't. It still keeps going. I'm gonna stop here because I feel like I got enough of a view. Now, supposedly there's a spur trail that's about a mile long that continues that way and gives you a much better view of Kanab. Right now, this little rock right here is in front of us, but I guess if you keep going. However, I never came across the split, so I'm not exactly sure where that is. Overall, it's relatively exposed. However, there are a decent amount of trees every now and then where you get a little bit of shade if it's later in the day. I'm not sure how much shade you're going to get in the middle of the day, but they provided a nice spot to rest a little bit, catch your breath, get a drink of water, and as you're going up, admire the view. Don't forget to look around. It's nice as you just steadily climb up this cliff. Some of it was really steep. At times it was kind of tricky to climb up the rocks and things like that. It wasn't just a straight walking. In my non-rock climbing ability, felt like I was scrambling, even though I probably wasn't, but in my eyes it was. I'm gonna call it that. It took me about an hour and 20 minutes or so to get up the trail with frequent stops, and a little detour for the dinosaur tracks. Yeah, it was tough, it's difficult, it's considered strenuous, and I see why. If it was a cooler day, it probably wouldn't have been as bad. The heat definitely was a factor, but yeah, it still would be a hard trail. But being up here, the view is pretty incredible. You're seeing this southern Utah area, which is just absolutely gorgeous. It's nice to see it from a bird's eye view. You can see off into the distance, elements of the grand staircase. It's just really, really great stuff that you're looking at here. Not to mention this direction here, kind of looking at the Kaibab Plateau in northern Arizona. Again, really spectacular view. As far as visiting the Bunting Trail, it's like I said, it's very similar to the Mansard Trail, where it's on the outskirts of town in sort of a residential area, and eventually you'll even see some signs on the road that kind of point you in the right direction to let you know you're going the right way. Then there's a little parking lot which you can actually see from here, and that's where you can park. There's a space for a handful of cars. And the trail is pretty clearly marked. There's a little map and everything. And yeah, you just start walking. Well, that does it for this one. Thanks for joining me on this trip to the Bunting Trail just outside of Kanab. Hope you found it interesting. Hope you found it informative, and maybe it'll encourage you to come check it out yourself. Hell of a view. With that said, I guess I'll see you on the next one. And just remember, the key word was near the top. There's still a little more to go.